Okay, Principles of Passion, take one.
It's Principles of Passion.
Molly and I share a passion.
Hey, I am very passionate.
Oh, nice.
It is his passion.
Michael and I share a passion.
Bit of a passion for me.
It's my passion.
I've learned a lot, and I followed my passion.
Here's your host, Chris Thomas, with Denora Robles and Dominic Semino. Streaming live on Facebook at Your Passion First. Principles of Passion.
This is Chris Thomas. We're here on Principles of Passion. We're in WGN Radio Studios. Oh, unfortunately, my man Dominic, he's out today. But over yonder, I see my co-host Denora.
Hey.
And we have the lovely Francine Bailey.
Hi.
So Francine's a career adventurist, an attorney. What I really like is she's classy, she's sassy, she's a bit smart-assy, and always more prepared than the next guy or girl. She defies description, but all you really need to know is that she's the woman to call when you need a straight answer and a few feathers ruffled. So, Francine, thank you very much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me how we became to know each other, what brought you onto the show. Just tell me more about you.
So what you're saying is you don't remember when we met? Thanks, Chris. Thanks. I see our relationship's super important.
I need to know. I need the people to know.
No, we met at Advanced Resources when we were both working there when I was doing my adult gap year. That lasted 2 years. And then after I left, obviously you and I kept in touch, and you asked me to join you because you didn't realize it's a bad idea to put a mic in front of me. So here we are.
That's her modest nature. So just to anyone tuning in, first of all, thank you. If you're tuning on Facebook, you're tuning in on Instagram, wherever you're tuning in, social media handle, Your Passion First, Your Passion 1ST. The reason I started this show is in my 10 years in staffing, very limited experience, but I feel like I've come across a lot of people not following their passion and just kind of taking a job just to take a job, right? Just to put food on the table. And as I speak now and as I get more immersed with the younger generation, I'm understanding that they have the same flaws, right? They're lacking, whether it be a vision, a plan. And I think as we get older, I think we all tend to steer away from that if we're not focused. And what I wanted to do is try and host a show that could inspire people, right? Inspire me, but really inspire others out there to want to chase their passion. And sometimes we need motivation from those around us that are overcoming adversity, that are dealing with BS in their life while still trying to follow that passion or put that passion first. And one thing I really took note of when I first met Francine was that she was very regimented in her routine. And to me, to be able to put patterns in your life to allow you to deal with the things that come out of nowhere is so crucial, right? To deal with the little mundane things in life. And I wanted to bring her on because she's always showed me that that's what she's about. And I wanted to kind of get her take on how she lives her life, how she uses that mundane way of thinking to just kind of drive her. So thank you. Again, I wanted to give the overview. Again, we're here on Principles of Passion, just trying to talk about adversity. So my first question to you, what has been the biggest pivotal point in your life where you had to realize, like, I just got to get it done. I just got to do this. I just got to grind through this. I just got to figure out a way. Has there, and maybe there's been multiple, but
Right.
For you, has there been a defining moment where you made a decision to just start grinding?
No. I was promised no hard questions. So, no, I can't say that there's a pivotal moment, a precipitating event that happened. But one thing that is true is when I was a freshman year or sophomore, a freshman or sophomore in high school, I want to say, my mom said to me, you better work. Well, let me stop. My mother has never said yo in her entire life, but translate it to how I speak. It was, yo, you better work hard because you're going to have to get some scholarships to go to college. So it was at that point, I like to say it peaked in high school because I was a badass in high school. By the time I got to senior year, I had advanced French, challenge, AP government, AP physics.
So not a bad, like you weren't a bad kid.
No.
You were like rising to the top of your game.
Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
okay.
I was at the top. I was, all these AP courses, plus I was in orchestra, plus I was head cheerleader. Plus I played tennis and rah-rah-rah, be aggressive. If we can do that later, if you like. And I was active in church, and I applied for every scholarship in the history of ever. And I got a lot of them because my mom said, if you want to go to college, actually, it wasn't even an if. It was when you go to college, take some scholarships with you. So as a result, I had a music scholarship, I had an academic scholarship, I got more scholarships my sophomore year that were only open to sophomores. So I don't know if that's a pivotal point or a pivotal conversation.
Let me ask you though, in going through and getting those accolades and achievements, what drove you to want to continue to be better than everyone else, or to achieve, so to speak?
Yeah, so I'm not one of these people where it's a competition. Right. I wasn't competing against everyone else. A lot of people like say I need to be better than everybody else. I didn't care. I knew I needed to get scholarships, and I knew that I was going to college and that it needed to be paid for one way or the other. So it was just a matter of fact. It was just what you do. So I like to tell people we were out to dinner with another family, and the son was a year ahead of me. And so the question that was posed was, is Jay going to college when he finishes at the end of the year? It was an if question. It was never an if question for me. The question was, which college is Francine going to? So it was just sort of what you do, right?
Yeah.
So
set yourself up.
And it's awesome that you say that, because I talk with these students that are in pivotal points in their life, and they're trying to figure out like what's their mission in life, like what's driving them, and they all feel like it's this grand scheme, and it is, right? You have to have a vision, but the daily tasks that you just do, right? The waking up in the morning and just working out. Right. The fasting just because you want to control your mind a little bit more, right? Doing the little tiny things, but doing all the little tiny things, right? Not just, I'm going to do one little thing and then I'm going to try and get ahead. It's like, no, all of those little things, they add up, especially over the course of a day when you got 85 little things and maybe you only do half of them, but you strove to achieve 85, and some people aren't even striving to achieve one goal.
Right.
And so I think those little things, to your point, it's not about, I got to be better. It's like, no, I just got to fucking do what I got to do.
It's just,
like, you didn't give me an option.
The options
sorry,
were
Mom.
taken.
Sorry, Mom, for fucking. Sorry.
See, I'm not going to show my mom the show, so, I can say it's whatever I like. But I think I don't like to say I think I know. A lot of it was the options were taken away. Right. So when I got my first job, 10% went to savings and 10% went to tithing. It wasn't an option. It was just what you do. Yeah. So as a result, I had that discipline for my whole life. And, when I bought my first house at 29, because I'd been tithing and saving 10%. And my husband likes to point out, that's 20% of your paycheck gone for 2 years straight. Yeah. People in their 20s don't do that. And I was like, what are you talking about? Everybody in their 20s do that. He was like, listen to me when I tell you. That 20%, I would have been popping bottles. And I was like, now scamming guys out of drinks because I couldn't afford it. Well said.
Like to add a comment to that? Any comments?
May or may not have bootlegged a couple times. Don't tell anyone.
I love it.
She's amazing in every aspect, I have to say.
Hashtag workaround.
Women empowerment.
Yes,
Get it right now. No,
Yeah, found a new role model.
minorities on the show. I'm just saying.
Found a new role model. Give me a number later, okay?
Well, this is a thing. This is happening.
Yeah, for sure.
So let me go over this quote. There's an author. She wrote a memoir. Her name's Elizabeth Gilbert, and her memoir.
I read that book.
Yeah, in 2006 memoir. Eat,
Yep.
Pray, Love. I have not read it. I've read multiple excerpts from it, and I really like this one. It stood out to me based on kind of our discussion today. She said, "Creativity itself doesn't care at all about results. The only thing it craves is the process. Learn to love the process and let whatever happens next happen without fussing too much about it. Work like a monk or a mule or some other representative metaphor for diligence. Love the work. Destiny will do what it wants with you regardless."
That's good.
Denora, what do you think about that one? It's deep.
It is, and I was going to ask you actually, and I don't mean to like point it at you, but I'm interested. But she's so interesting. And so, did you enjoy the process? Because you had so much going on, and specifically in high school, you were AP. Did you enjoy the process, or were you just like work, forget about everything, and just like focusing in and just on the goal, pretty much? Did you enjoy it?
Right. So this is a safe space, right? We're in the
We
circle of
are in a
trust.
circle of trust. Kumbaya.
WGA Principles of Passion.
No judgment zone. Go for it.
I struggle with enjoy the journey. That is my struggle. I do not enjoy the journey. Let's just get there. And that's traveling. You know, when I was little, we used to drive down to Arkansas. We drove every year. Yes.
That girl.
I was that girl. And that's in traveling and in life. I struggle with that. That is good advice. That's how you wake up every day and get it done and don't hate everything in that moment. So I agree that that's what should be happening, but quite frankly, that is not what happens with me. It's just not.
Was it an impatient thing or was it a perfectionist thing? Like why when you said like the whole process, is it?
Why? Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I like hard work.
That's just no. It's true. It's most smartest people don't
Do it, but I don't
smarter. Yeah.
like it, right? So, okay, let's talk about the gym, because one thing that Chris...
Why we gotta go there?
Because Chris was like, he was like, you should be on the show because we're going to be talking about diligence. And I said, I don't know anything about that. And he said, but if I know you, you're diligent in the gym. This is what you do.
I did say
that's a good example.
And you
though,
said
Jen.
it's because you love it, is what you do. And I was like, no. I don't go to the gym because I'm diligent. Direct quote. I said, I go out of guilt and vanity. That's why I go. I love the results of hard work.
Oh my God,
I do not
honesty.
like hard work. So the results drive me. The end game
good.
drives me. But the reason why I say that is good advice from Elizabeth Gilbert, which, by the way, if you haven't read the book, read the book. I haven't seen the movie because I'm one of those people that wants to
book is
read the book.
better.
I don't want to
Pray, Love.
Eat, Pray,
is her
Love.
book is much better.
She also has a TED Talk that's really fabulous.
Yes, that's better. So.
But the reason why it's better to love the journey is that if you don't get the results that you seek because you took a left turn or because you had to stop, a good one for me is if you get injured in the gym, which has happened to me a couple times.
Not so much, bro.
I mean,
I'm just saying. I
just, you know,
I see you squat.
it's
She has a vision. Let her fulfill her vision.
Oh, how many plates?
it's a few pounds. It's a few pounds, but if you love the journey, then when you have to stop or take a detour or something changes, you're not disappointed the way you
that's
would
true.
be if you only love the result. So I've had a lot of disappointments in my life because it was the result that I wanted and it wasn't the journey that I loved.
So it's following the purpose.
That's a very, very, very honest answer.
Yes.
To be honest, you know,
I agree with that. That's how it's supposed to be. I mean,
it is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
But to everything you
real.
said, yes, I agree. yes, that's how we all should be thinking.
Should be being there.
No, that's not how we're all thinking.
No, it's
and so what I look at is, how have I thought in my worst moments and how I've wanted to think in my best, right? And like, I want to go hard at something and enjoy the grind every day. But if I don't have a vision mapped out of where I'm trying to get, then that grind is distasteful to me because I don't know what I'm grinding for. Right? I'm just grinding and got a network with this, but got to read this. Well, what's your vision?
Right. Well, a sense of direction is different than the enjoyment you get out of getting there. The sense of direction tells you where you're going.
Right.
Enjoying the process is why you're going.
Right. I agree.
And it's helpful to have both, but your life is more difficult if you don't enjoy the process. Just speaking from my personal experience.
Well, if you're following your passion, in my opinion, if you're putting your passion first, hence the show, then you're organizing things in a way where you are setting goals, you are setting a plan in place to help drive you to that vision, right? But if you're just putting whatever forward, I'm going to go be a systems engineer. Well, why? Why? I want to go do this. Well, how does that tie? Like a kid today said, I want to be cybersecurity, but he likes gaming. So why are you doing cybersecurity if you could be a systems engineer? I never thought of marrying my passion with technology. It's like, if you align with your passion, all that other stuff is gonna fold itself in the right fashion, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But people get thrown off, I think, a lot just by again, not planning, not having a vision, but then not putting themselves around the right people to help align them with that.
It's that motivation factor. And who you surround yourself with.
True.
So who did you surround yourself with during high school in this whole process? Like who, in the sense of, were they just as big as achievers as you were, or?
Sure. No, I don't.
You don't
Let me think before I talk.
Because I think you look at them as just,
Were you surrounded?
I'm doing better than me, not necessarily better than someone else.
Competing
Right.
with yourself, which I agree,
Right.
but you still need.
You need to be surrounded by the right
That fire.
people. So I was surrounded by people who were also in several activities and or taking advanced courses, and that's been true my entire life. I didn't have friends that were, I was the only one going home to do homework, and then they were all getting high on 420, which is not to say that I'm judging getting high. More like they weren't getting high celebrating 420 every day.
Every day?
Every day. So those two things were cohesive,
Okay.
I would say, and I would say that's true now. It's one of those things where I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. Were those my friends because I was in advanced classes and we were all having the same conversations or on the same schedules? Or did I have those friends and no, I actually do know what came first. I love it. I just did that, and then we were friends because we were on the same schedules.
That's awesome.
That sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to reset, I really love mentoring and coaching. It's one of my passions. And when I say aside from my son, it's my biggest passion. But I think we all should be passionate about family and life and having fun and doing the right thing. How can we take our passions outside of the basic elements of life into workplace, if for lack of better terms, but into having sustainable income from that passion, and I think we all try to get there. We all want to be doing what we love to do every day, right? And not look at everything else, but there's a journey to get to that, and I think we are all going through it right now to be able to do what sets our soul on fire for a living every day. And I think if anyone were in their right mind, I think that's what people's journeys would be, to live happily and to do what sets their soul on fire. I don't think a lot of people are doing that, and I think even less people that are trying to immerse themselves into the job market are doing it because they're dealing with other variables in their life as well as in the communities of the organizations they're trying to be a part of. And so I think what's essential for just us as a population to understand is go with your heart. Go with what you like to do, and you will find out the rest along the way with a plan in place, right? If you try and weave through life doing what I did for a while, is trying to appease everyone else and what they think of you, you will fail. You will not be happy, you will not be successful, and you will fail unless you're a supreme marketer or advertiser or salesman where you can completely take yourself out of your shell and look at everyone else. But if you're trying to do you and I think make yourself completely happy, I think that's essential to really do that, to dig deep. To recap, we have 10 principles. What my goal is to bring speakers on that bring more principles to the table for us. I'm definitely going to lean on you for a couple outside of mundane working, which I truly appreciate that sense of diligence, because that's what our show is about just going hard at something and knowing that it's going to be boring in the process, but that's because you're only breaking off 5% every day, a little chunk, and that can be repetitive and boring. And so do the right thing was our first one. Attitude is everything. Do not let your emotions get the best of you. Believe in yourself. Set goals. Stay organized. Anthony was on last week talking about 85% of all jobs are filled by networking. Francine today, diligence is the father of perseverance and persistence. If you don't have an education, you better have a craft or a lot of money. And even if you have all three, nothing in life is guaranteed. We're going to have Marco from LinkedIn talking next week about grinding without an education, but with a skill and a craft. And then lastly, we're going to have Morgan Field on in 2 weeks, who's the author of Epic Sexy. I'm on the cover. Check your boy out. No, real talk. One of my best friends, great people, great motivational, just person. She's an awesome person, you know, in her words and in the way she goes about her life. So super excited to have her on. Again, we're here on Principles of Passion, WGN Studios. What are the characteristics, Francine, of a diligent person?
Yes.
Hey.
Your characteristics. No, what's your characteristic? Because obviously it works. Yes. What's your principle?
Or defining, or a couple, or one.
How can girls, young girls, be like you? In other words, I'm going to direct that question.
Other than have a mom just says, just fucking do it.
Right, yeah. I mean, you need someone in your life that's like, just fucking do it.
Right.
Just be like Nike. Just do it.
Yeah.
Get a check mark. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
But it starts with confidence. Wouldn't you say that you're a confident woman and that's what pushed you forward?
No, I wouldn't say that.
When did you find your confidence?
I don't have an answer to that either. I was promised no hard questions.
Okay.
This is good. This is real. This is real.
I would say so. There was a few questions there, and I'm going to try to answer them. Characteristics of diligence, not due diligence. That was a very lawyer thing. Is stick-to-itiveness.
Say it again.
Stick-to-itiveness.
Wow.
Which is a real word.
Stick-to-itiveness.
You just have to stick to it.
I like it.
Or to be a cheerleader,
Easy to
just
remember.
stick it.
Yeah.
Stick-to-itiveness is the thing.
Okay.
It's the most concrete thing I can give you because when people say things like grit, what does that mean?
Right.
Someone define it for me.
That's a new term. Everyone's just bouncing
It's a trendy. Do you need confidence? I don't have an answer for you, but what you do need is the ability to stand your ground when everyone else is doing the opposite.
confidence.
Sure. I don't know if you're always, sometimes you have to fake it until you make it. So
I agree with
you
that.
might not always be confident in it, but you have to be able to withstand the storm or reject what everyone else is doing.
So let
That
me
takes
ask you
power,
this,
yeah.
And again, I always thank Denora for introducing me to Gary Vee. when you say fake it till you make it,
Oh, here he goes.
Gary Vaynerchuk's a little bit against that because he feels that be real, just grind, don't fake it, go with what you got and what you're doing.
Sure.
Kind of, what would you say to offset that a little bit?
I would wonder how much of that attitude is a result of white male privilege.
Ooh.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Sometimes you have the option to be real and be who you are because that fits into the environment that you're in.
Wow.
And
Well said.
sometimes you need to put on a mask in order to fit in until you have the credibility to tell people exactly what you think.
And let me clarify that because a lot of people.
No, I don't
have
need
asked me-
clarification.
Not for you, no, not for you, to our audience, because what you said was that's
No, we don't need any mansplaining here. That was very clear.
That was my side. I was
Code switching.
Right? And so when you think about putting yourself in an environment and having to code switch, I've started thinking negatively about the word code switching because it's, to me, making you be someone you're not. But the way that you just put it was more eloquently put versus saying code switching. It's like, no, I'm not switching who I am. I'm actually putting myself in an environment, trying to understand who my audience is, first of all. I'm not going to go to a fine dining restaurant and wear jeans with holes in them. Okay, I'm understanding who my audience is. And some people may. Ernie, give it. What? Ernie, what?
I mean, some people may.
Okay.
Depending. So
Okay,
here's the funny thing about that. If I go to Capitol Grill right now in jeans with holes in them, they'll seat me and serve me a $200 meal easily.
Okay.
But if I go to a club that shall remain nameless that serves brunch in River North, they'll make me leave if I've got Jordans
Your
on.
audience.
It's your audience. But it's more than that, right? So if you think about this, right? If your significant other refers to you as Zaddy. Hey, Zaddy.
What does he call
where
you?
are we
What does he
going
call
tonight?
you?
We just found out.
What does he call you?
This is not my significant other. But
That was getting interesting.
Memoirs.
y'all are out in public, right? Y'all are at a professional networking event, and your significant other walks up to you and is like, hey, Zaddy, what you want from the bar? That just doesn't fit in.
no,
First of all,
that's-
you don't want everybody else in the world knowing that's your nickname. Secondly, you don't want to invite other people to call you by that nickname. So it's like you said, it's knowing your audience and your environment. So code switching can have a negative connotation because people are tired of doing it. And sometimes it can be taken to the ultimate extreme. I don't want to sit here and say that I'm necessarily an advocate of code switching, but I am an advocate, and this may be just the brainwashing that I've had over my 30-odd years of life. I do believe that there are some environments where you do certain things and other environments where you don't. What I don't agree with is when you're going to the ultimate extreme so that it's inauthentic.
Right, so you're not being yourself.
So you're not being yourself.
you
So
have to stretch it.
and sometimes you have to build credibility before you can start telling people everything that you really think.
I agree
Because
with
they
that.
don't care.
Right.
They have to care first.
Right.
And that's not code switching. That's just keeping your mouth shut.
Gary Vee didn't start that way.
The feather ruffler
Yes.
here. The feather ruffler.
It's true. Like Gary Vee didn't start off that way. Like just saying his opinions so candidly. But yeah, but I go back. You're right. It takes. It's all about time and place. At the end of the day, it's just a time and a place for everything.
Yeah. And that's, I think that's the best way that I've heard it put in terms of not even eloquent, but just real and how we interact, because there are a lot of conversations, I think, going on about code switching and like, are we supposed to change ourselves? I think that's a big problem for a lot of young individuals coming into the job market. It's like, I want to be me. I want to go find a company that's me. That's all.
Well, everybody can't be Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs.
Right.
Mark Zuckerberg wears a hoodie every day. Steve Jobs wore a black turtleneck every day. I'm not doing that, but that's because I prefer to be fly.
But Ernie, we were just talking about this last week. Ernie, here at WGN, he does what he wants to do because he's found an environment, and not because I think the environment has found him because he's found what he loves to do, being himself.
Right, but we were in staffing.
vice versa.
We were in staffing
Right?
together. What would happen if somebody showed up to an interview in jeans and a hoodie?
In an interview?
In an
Different.
interview.
However, how
It's
did I
time
come
and
to work
place.
some days and how did I come to work other days?
That was after you already had a job and built the credibility to get it.
True.
But it all depends on the industry too, because the industry of technology, that is the look: jeans and a t-shirt, and it's almost like
It
that's how you
also
fit in.
depends on the place, though,
Right.
because
Time, place,
I remember
audience.
my first job. The company that I had was originally based in Seattle.
Okay.
So they were very business casual, jeans on Friday. I was based here in Chicago, but the environment, the corporate culture was fed from Seattle. We were bought out by a Boston company where they're far more
yes.
straight-laced, and they expected a full-on suit every day.
Oh, that's a shift.
It was awful,
So
I
let's,
have to say. So it's all about time and place and audience.
I mean, bottom line, that's it. There's no code switching. There's understanding what environment you're placing yourself in and making sure that you maneuver in the right fashion.
You got to
enough.
bob and weave.
Fair enough. Right, bob and weave. So Donna Reich is a women and life and health coach. And last name Reish, but she had some pretty profound topics that I kind of wanted to bring up. Like, one of them was, how do you check your diligence? Like, how do you
Monitor it.
What do you do to say, hey, like, I want to be more diligent. I want to be more about what my mission, what my plan, what my strategy is. What are some tips you ladies would have to anyone out there trying to better themselves in terms of diligence?
I believe that's to you.
Thank you. Well, for me, what works for me, the good old-fashioned writing things down and just checking in each week, each day, each week, and each month.
Sure.
So I just keep it really simple. I write what goal I want to attain, how fast I want to attain it, or the timeline, and just check on it. I just keep it that simple.
Is that specific, measurable, attainable?
Speaking like a project
I
manager.
forgot what's RT? That is true, project manager. But I hear things. So it's SMART goals is what we're talking about.
And just staying focused, and I go back to just having the confidence, staying focused, and just really stay focused on that vision and don't keep your eyes off of it. That's what works for me, and it's been so far. But you might have something better. Because you really go in. She really goes in. I'm just like, I'll write it down. I might have an eraser, erase it, so write it.
Finish it, then write it down so you can cross it off. I'm a good one for that. That might depend on what the goal or the habit, or what the goal or the diligent thing is. For me, creating a habit.
Ooh,
So
that's true.
for the gym, it was creating a habit. For studying, it was creating a habit. And creating a habit starts small.
So thank you for adding that in piece about starting small. So when you did start going to the gym, for those people out there that are just looking to not necessarily, be like me and you.
Right.
Why did I get included in this one?
Guys,
I'm just a little on the thick side, if that's what you want to call it. Slim thick. Slim thick works. Some people want this body.
Plastic surgery out there
But
trying to
to
get
people
your
that
body.
just-
too broke for that right now.
No, there's plastic surgery out there trying to get your body.
I
trying
love
to-
her. I love her.
Own it. We could have another sidebar for that.
Let's go back to the list.
But no, real talk. For those people that haven't worked out, right?
Yeah.
I already played basketball. A hand raised over there. For those of us that have not worked out, what would you say would be something that you could work on starting tomorrow to increase your diligence surrounding working out? Like, what's Nike? Just do it. Sorry. Go
Right, Nike, just do it. Sponsored by Nike. I wish. Ready for my sneaker deal anytime, or just a free pair of those Serena
I'll take
ones.
those.
That was awesome.
Me too.
Blazers. They were SC Blazers. I'm focused here.
I love
it.
So, I read an article once that said in order to create a habit, you start so small that it's ridiculous that you won't do it. So if you want to get in the habit of flossing, you just floss one tooth a night. it's absurd to ignore flossing
do
at
one
one
tooth,
tooth.
right.
Because
Yeah,
floss at
cavity
one
nose
tooth,
too.
and then eventually you up it to 2 once that's a habit.
agree,
And then
yeah,
you keep
that's
going till you
true.
have all of them.
So when do you define the habitual or when do you like up your game? Like when do I say, oh, okay, I did 1. Do I skip to 3, or do I go
You
to
can
2 the
skip
next
to
day?
3. Why not skip to 3? If you feel like you can do 3, go for it. There doesn't have to be a defined way to do this. So as it relates to working out, I wouldn't go and lift 1 weight. That would be 1 rep. Go like that one commercial. But maybe you start with waking up early and walking around the block, or maybe
Just
you
one time. Just
It's
walk around one
realistic.
time.
Or-
Just to do it, to discipline.
or 10 squats,
Yeah.
body squats, body weight squats, 10 of them.
Even so simple.
So
Is
simple.
to walk around the block. Just to discipline your mind to do something that you weren't doing already to get you to where you're trying to go.
Problem is people don't want to take that action.
Why-
That's the thing.
why-
We can all create habits, but if I don't take that one piece of action, nothing's gonna fall
They
through.
don't want to take action, don't want to fucking succeed.
Or
I agree.
they want to succeed, they don't want to put in the work.
They don't. No, they don't. You don't want to.
And there
If
is,
you
yeah.
don't. If you have a. When it comes to completing something, if you don't want to get to the completion of being successful, then you will demonstrate that not wanting by not getting stuff done, just not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
I don't know if it's that simple. I think everyone wants to succeed. Everyone has the desire to succeed. Not everyone
Some people
has
really
the. Well,
The
okay.
desire?
Let me change this.
Okay.
No one
Have
has
the thought
the
process.
No one has the desire to fail.
Good. That
No
is
one
true.
wants,
No one wants
to
to be a
fail.
failure. Yeah.
And the opposite, I'm assuming for the moment that the opposite of failure is success as opposed to staying the same.
Right.
Okay, so just
Okay.
to set up my,
For sure.
my argument here. So everyone has a desire to succeed. That's where that comes from. Not everyone has the desire to take the steps to succeed. Not everyone knows the steps required to succeed. And not everyone has the clarity of vision to realize they're not taking the steps necessary.
So then, by definition, are they trying to succeed?
By definition, yes, they're trying because they believe they're trying, but
But
they're
they
not
don't know
taking the
true
appropriate
definition
steps.
of success.
That's not true. Everyone's definition of success is different.
Agree.
Just because you want to make $10 million by the time you're 50 doesn't mean that I do.
But what about what my intention is? And like, my intention is just to grind and accomplish my mission. So that's not too different from someone else that's trying to succeed, right? Not trying to fail. You're trying to accomplish your mission just like I'm trying to get to where I'm trying to be. How is that different? We're not too different.
Right. I actually think we need to back it up a little bit to define success because particularly with millennials and Americans, it's a very American thing to think that you have to A, follow your passion, and B, that success equals money.
Right.
And a lot of people, the reason they don't take the steps necessary to make that $10 million by the time they're 50, they don't really want it. They actually prefer time, or they want the ability to relax, or they want
They don't
to
want the
Build a
sacrifice
family.
that
good.
it takes
They want to look
get
good
that.
naked.
Yeah.
The sacrifices required to get that $10 million by the time they're 50 aren't actually worth it. So they look like they're intentionally not succeeding when what they're really doing is redefining success for themselves and not admitting it.
And to that point, those people end up not happy because they're not admitting what makes them truly happy.
Right.
And maybe you are at 50, but it took you that long to figure out like, shit, I should have just been chasing what I loved to do when I was 20, and I would have been happy by 30, making 100,000, as opposed to grinding till 50 to try and make 250,000 when I'm not happy and I gotta let it all go.
Right.
At 50.
And then they start, they buy the Audi R8. They're trying
That's
to
fine. I want S5.
but they're trying to fill that hole, right? They
avoid-
buy expensive things, or they buy the Chanel bag or the Chanel slides. I was just listening to that song, that are actually uncomfortable, per the song. I wouldn't know. I don't have any Chanel slides yet, but
Check those out.
they were buying these things to make themselves feel better and to have the markers of success as defined by their circle. I'm not even going to say society.
So they're just looking
circle,
successful.
But they look successful, but they're not, because they're very, very bitter that they're at work from 7 a.m. until 10 a.m. and they're missing the rest of their life.
They're in a sense,
It's a status thing.
7th place winners, living in a 7th place winner world, when we've gotten so satisfied with not being number one. Like, what happened to just grinding till you're going to be the greatest?
Well, that's the thing, though. It's defining it. Your definition of greatest might not be my definition of greatest, might not be her definition.
For sure.
Because I know for sure you don't want to do what I do. If you did, you would have gone to law school. But you didn't want to, because law school sucks.
Tell us more. Tell us more. For those that are going to law school out there.
I did not want to go to law school.
Right.
I did not want to go to law school.
That truly takes diligence and hard work.
Monday. That's good. That's good stuff. So, and I keep kind of circulating around similar questions. How do I become more diligent?
You create a habit.
How do you create a habit out of nothing?
First, you have to, I don't know. Let's make this up as we go along, shall we? First,
Well,
you have to
let's
do
think
it.
logically, like Francine does, because without even
As you
saying
do.
it, you do that already. So,
First, it's funny, the reflection of what people think of you. I think that's really funny. So, if that's what I do. Go for it. I thought I was shooting from the hip. I thought I was just making it up, shooting from the hip. And Chris is like, no, this is going to be very logical. So,
pretty smart people.
no pressure. So, the first item of business to create a habit is to define what the goal is.
What's your
Yes.
What's your why?
What's your why?
The second step, in my opinion, is to identify the steps it takes to get there. Then the last thing is to identify the first step
Tomorrow.
that you need to take.
Not next week. I'm going to start tomorrow.
Today.
Yeah, today. Yes. Today.
The first step you need, if the first step is to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, then the first step is to set the alarm tonight.
Yes. Agreed.
And then the second step is to take your happy ass to bed early so you can wake up
And get up.
and get up.
And just do it.
And then if you don't get up, you need a contingency plan, in my
Ooh.
opinion. If you
That's key. That's key.
don't wake up, then plan B, you work out at night. Plan B is, okay, I didn't wake up, but when I did get up, I stayed up. And then I'm going to go to bed earlier tomorrow or today, because we've not woken up at this
Yeah.
point. So it's identifying the steps and then identifying the steps you need to do the steps
And having
Right.
a fallback plan.
and having a fallback plan.
Because as Morgan Field says it, the ninja mind will try and talk you out of the things you need to be doing to get to what makes you happy. They'll try and talk you out of the grind.
So it goes back to enjoying that process, because then if you create that habit, enjoy the process. Even if you fail a couple of times, just keep going and just stay focused, and
Right.
there you go.
Have a good support system, and have a plan in place, because you can
A
stay on
blueprint.
course all day, but where's your course? Right?
Where are you going?
Can't take a destination trip anywhere if you don't know where you're trying to get. And it takes knowing where you're trying
Have
to
a
get.
map.
And then, we're going to stop here. We're going to stop there. We're going to stop there. And building those steps. And if you're thinking of it grandiose, you're walking back. You're saying, I want to be here. Here's what 5 months looks like. Okay, let me divide that into 5. Here's what each month looks like.
Right.
And you break it backwards as opposed to trying to walk uphill.
I think it's a lot harder to look at the ultimate goal than it is to look at the next goal.
Very, very much so.
So it's like today next. So it's like today tomorrow. Today tomorrow.
But if you're
today
not,
tomorrow.
and yes, very, very much.
I meant
so.
on a day-to-day basis. You have to identify the ultimate goal, but on a day-to-day
Absolutely.
basis, it's a lot harder
on today.
to look at. So when I was going to law school, right, it's a lot harder to look at, I want to be a partner at a large law firm than it is to look at, I need to get through Crim Pro 1.
But it's a lot harder to
It's realistic.
Crim 1 if you don't have the end goal. Because you can look at it and you can see it. That's what I need to do right now. If you don't got this, you don't know if this is what you need to do right now because you don't know where this is. Where
Right.
You're aligned.
But she was taking the first big step, which is focus on being a lawyer first, and then after I'm a lawyer, partner, which is much more. She graduated. She did it. So we gonna follow her advice. Okay. So we're gonna follow what she says. Just say it. But it's true, right? So you were like your goals were realistic. I mean, I could be a little bit of a dreamer sometimes. I'm like, okay, I'm not a millionaire. Like, what's going on? Or a billionaire. But you were realistic about it. You're like, well, let me get to the first part. My first phase. It's phases. First phase, let me become a lawyer. After that, let's talk about me ruling the world or whatever it is.
Right. Well, I identified the big goal first. Before I got to law school, I had the big goal. And then I backed into it.
Good.
Right? What do I need to do right now to get to that big goal? And that started all the way back in high school. Like I said,
That's ambitious.
I was a strange kid. So
Well, you just do it though. You got it done.
right, I got it done, but that was because I knew that I knew elementary school, it moved a little bit, but I knew in elementary school I was going to be a lawyer. This
That's
was
awesome.
law. Middle school, I knew that it was going to be corporate law. High school, it took high school for me to figure out what the titles were that I was headed towards. But by the time I got to high school, then I was always working towards the ultimate goal. But what I concerned myself on a day-to-day basis was passing this class.
What ignited? You said it started from elementary school. What ignited? Like, I want to become a lawyer. I mean, because elementary school, I'm like, I'm not eating paste or something. I don't know. Somebody eating paste. I don't know.
Listen to me.
But something must have ignited that. And what was that? What triggered that?
Well, the true and honest answer, again, safe space,
Wait.
circle of trust.
Circle of trust.
No judgment.
Fall back.
I wanted to be Claire Huxtable.
Love that.
Hashtag.
That is so right.
You want to be clear.
No, that's Heathcliff. I wanted to be Claire.
I love
when
that.
she told off Eldon specifically. But
that one.
hashtag representation matters. I wanted to be Claire Huxtable. And I
That is
went
amazing.
forth and I didn't marry
You
a
picked the right
doctor.
role model for that
I
one.
didn't marry a doctor
TV
or
worked
have
for
5
you.
kids.
TV
But
worked.
Never
yeah,
knew.
I got the law degree.
That is awesome. Claire Huxtable. We all
If
love
memory
her.
serves, she was actually a real estate attorney, but I got close. Corporate real estate specifically.
Is she really now? Is that what she does?
No,
Claire
so-
Huxtable?
in this-
Yeah, she was a corporate real estate
I thought
attorney.
you meant real time.
Felicia Rashad? No, she's
She's an actress.
That's what I was thinking. You said. Yeah.
Most recently on This Is Us. Prior to that,
Yes. Where has
it's
he
not a
been?
new show. It's
Where
on
has he
NBC. It's been
been?
on for like 4
People.
years.
It's a tearjerker, but
I
that's
don't
another
watch
story.
it because I don't understand watching shows that make you want to cry.
got
But
But that's right. She's
prior to that, she was in the Drake video.
What?
Telling dude to get back.
Yes.
Chris, it's
Yes.
not that This Is Us is garbage. It's just not built for me.
Okay.
I've never watched it because
It's a good
people always
tearjerker.
talk about how they cry in every
They do.
episode,
My
and
wife
I'm like,
sits and watches it,
I
so-
don't understand why I want to cry.
I don't either. My wife
this-
watches it and she sits there and she's like, "It's just so good," but then you're crying. Like,
Right,
I
I'm like,
can't
it's not
cry.
what I watch TV
I want to
for.
laugh. I don't like going to see really scary stuff, and I don't
Same.
like stuff to cry. I
This
mean,
is my person. We're here.
I like, yeah, I'm in. I'm in.
Dude, no,
100%.
I don't
wanna laugh.
intentionally want to be scared, and
Yeah,
I
I
don't
wanna be
intentionally
scared.
want to cry. I want to laugh my whole entire ass off.
Right, like the whole time.
The
like,
whole
I'm scared.
time.
No, I feel great. No,
That's
I don't feel
why
great.
I
I'm scared.
watch reality TV because hilarious.
I like her, actually. We need to hang out.
Bring the good ones on. Bring the good ones on.
Which reality show do you like the most?
Oh, the most? Real Housewives all day. All day.
Okay, we're gonna switch subjects.
Atlanta and Beverly
Real
Hills.
Housewives.
Yes.
Potomac and New York.
We're not doing that.
And Orange County.
That was actually really good.
Followed by
I'll be in Atlanta in June. If my Real Housewives want to come see me. Sorry, boo.
Here they are.
Oh, he just said he would
You
leave
want
you for
Atlanta with me,
Portia.
boo?
I would punch her in the face.
All right, Atlanta.
He just said he would leave you for Portia
I
Williams.
didn't say I'd leave anybody for anybody.
That's what I heard.
Easy.
That's what I
Easy.
heard.
Easy.
That
Drive
was,
it back,
that's the
guys.
story I'm telling.
So let's reel it back in. This is what happens when you have an hour-long podcast. I mean, I see some people out there doing 2.5 hours. I was like, what are y'all talking about for 2.5 hours?
People will be sleeping and they'll never come back again.
My favorite podcast after this one is usually 2.5 hours.
Winning. Good. Well, that's not us.
It
That will
usually
not
is.
be us.
They
Dude,
take
that's a
like,
movie.
Yeah.
I know the movie, guys.
Movie.
but we were
That's-
just talking about laughing, and I laugh the entire time.
All right, I mean,
And at the very end, they cuss people out, which is always fun.
what podcast is it, if I may ask?
It's The Read.
Okay.
That was Joe Rogan.
So
I love Joe.
after Principles of Passion, I'm going to check out.
As you should. You should.
Better be after.
Hours?
They're usually in there for like 2
So
hours.
real talk.
I listen to it while I'm watching the gym.
Lori Lightfoot, 26%, Tony Preckwinkle.
Oh, all the polls were right.
I'm not saying we got a winner yet, but it looks pretty dominating.
No, it's over.
At this point.
They called it?
They called it. It's over.
No.
Lori
I would
Lightfoot is the new
also
mayor of Chicago.
like you
It's
to
over.
point out that it's winning. It's a black woman either way.
Yeah, either way.
And
Hashtag
I would also
Tony Preckwinkle, I don't know about fully black.
Hashtag,
Hey,
on air.
one drop
On
over.
air. We're on air here.
Also, moreover, I'm kind of excited for this result, not for political reasons, but if you think about it, Lori Lightfoot will be mayor. Tony Preckwinkle will probably keep her position as Cook County Board President. Hopefully, Ms. Conyers Irvin won, so then we've got treasurer and the lieutenant governor, all black women. Chicago's
Yeah, but the state's attorney sucks.
Women
and Kim
empowerment.
Fox.
Let's go.
And Kim Fox, the state's attorney.
Kim Fox. I just,
Well,
just counting
she's got
them.
some feathers to unruffle.
yeah,
But what we're
so
counting
to
right
speak.
now are demographics. I'm gonna need y'all to fill
You're
in.
right. You're right.
Absolutely. But to
a
the feather
change coming,
ruffler,
it's
she's
good.
got some feathers to unruffle.
She does.
Okay.
She
All right.
does. But I said from a non-political point of view,
Yes.
with demographics only,
Absolutely.
I'm excited selfishly for that.
It's a historic day. A gay black woman is running Chicago.
Oh yeah. I think it's
Probably the way it
definitely-
should be,
definitely
low-key.
historic.
I mean, white men, y'all had your chance.
Step aside.
We are live here, people. Principles of passion.
They need to
Let
hear
it
this.
roll. The truest version of
It
us.
feels like it was in my
And
tagline,
that's the only way
professional
we
feather
can
ruffler.
get it.
That should be.
As we round up here, a couple job fairs. Again, our intention is to inspire and be inspired. The age demographic, for those of y'all that don't know, I work for Purpose Workforce Solutions. We are a mentoring and coaching-based staffing firm that focus on disenfranchised students trying to make it into the workforce. And so I always like to throw out a couple of job fairs that are going on because a lot of students I work with are looking for jobs. And I'm sure there's other people out there looking to define, follow their passion, right? Couple job fairs. Alumni UPM USA. It's called Career Fair Access and Networking. It is at Herman Hall in Chicago, address 3241 South Federal State. Again, Alumni UPM, Universe, Papa, Mama, USA. Next one is Chicago Job Fair. It will be, and I'm sorry, that last one is Tuesday, April 2nd. That passed.
I was going to say, isn't that today?
Wednesday, April 3rd, Chicago Job Fair. It's going to be at the Congress Plaza Hotel and Convention Center, 520 South Michigan Avenue. That's tomorrow, 11 a.m. Also tomorrow at the Daily Herald. It's called the Multi-Professional Job Fair at Poplar Creek Banquets in Hoffman Estates. Those people out west, 2354 West Higgins Road, Hoffman Estates. The last one, Chicago South Job Fair. It's out in Tinley Park, people out south. Hilton Garden in Chicago, address 18335 LaGrange Road, Tinley Park. For those of y'all tuning in for the first time, I really, really appreciate it. Anyone that is
Sorry
tuning
about
in
that.
from before.
I said, sorry about that if it's your first time.
If it's your first time,
You were awesome.
I'm glad you didn't watch episode 1 because that one drug. We had some previous episodes. We're working on fine tuning. We're hoping to get better every episode. I think a couple of asks of the audience is we're always looking for speakers that are passionate about their career, passionate about what they're doing in life. A friend of mine asked me the other day, so is this your new job? Like, how are you making money? It's like, no, this isn't my new job. I work for Purpose Workforce Solutions. This is what I do for fun. However, being that it's a nonprofit, our end game, we want to try and start hosting career readiness fairs. Work in progress, working with a couple of workforce development programs. I think our first one will probably be out in Inglewood. I'm looking to try and host one in Oak Park. I don't know if it'll be this summer. We do have a couple of others that we are teeing up. And so, again, the goal is to inspire, be inspired, have people be on an open platform where they can speak to their adversity, but also speak to what they love doing, right? We can all go through trials and tribulations in life, but if all that is for nothing, then it means nothing. And so look at what you're shooting for and try and make sure that your daily tasks are built in a systematic way, in a repetitive way, in a habitual way that can align you with what that vision truly is. Did you guys have anything you want to add? Anything? Any last words, parting words of wisdom?
No, just thanks for coming.
Yeah.
It's really inspirational.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully, I didn't steer anyone wrong.
Oh, definitely not.
I mean, you
Difficult to talk about my story because there's no story.
but it's
It's a good story, actually.
is what builds people, and everyone has their own quote unquote story, right? And some people it's not a story; it's just what I did, right? It's just what I did in the daily grind every day, and that's what
Right.
the show is about today. Is really that diligence,
It's
that persistence,
consistently
that
persistent.
perseverance.
Consistently persistent, the superpower of the mundane.
I love it.
Wow, that was a good ending. And she's-
It's the title of my next talk. So
I like
That's
it.
her title. Remember this. Remember this, though. If you don't put your passion first, it's real hard to follow your dreams. I'll leave it at that. Principles of Passion. Thanks for tuning in. Holla.